So we're flying to Iceland, drive around Iceland, flying to Portugal, from there to Morocco. We'll be in the desert for 10 days, and then we go back to Portugal, and we're gonna walk across Portugal into Spain. We landed in Iceland on May 29th, 2022, and we had 5 days to see the whole island, or as much as possible, before we flew to Portugal. Iceland. So, babe, we're in Iceland.
We're in Iceland.
How did our car experience go?
Well, we went from thinking that they were going to totally rip us off.
Yeah.
To then
Becoming best friends.
Becoming best friends, but also like being threatened by like all the things that could kill us in Iceland, but like in a casual way.
Yeah.
Like,
in like a hilarious way.
Oh yeah, like and you know, volcanoes and the black sand beach, and you know, you might die.
And now we got our car. Now we're driving around Iceland. And we're going to take the scenic route all along the southern coast to our Airbnb, which is in like the middle of the island.
It's true. We've also been awake for a long time.
Yeah, we've been awake a while. They do seem kind of angry. Oh my god!
We're just going to go
What are these birds?
We're just going to go really slow.
Dude, there are so many of these birds. If we get out, are they going to attack us?
Oh, no, they're fine.
That's a lot of birds, babe. Dude, that is a lot of birds.
In their defense, I feel like we're in their habitat.
Hey, there is a night. That is the lighthouse over there. Good call. It still smells like rotten eggs. AKA sulfur. Reykjanesvirkjun.
Hey, look at me. I knew where I was going.
I feel like I'm on a different planet.
That's definitely a statue.
Iceland looks like another planet. It looks like you're on Mars. So I knew I had to take that opportunity to film a music video. There's just steam coming out of the ground all over Iceland. Hot springs and volcanoes. It's the land of ice and fire. Get 'em. So we arrived at our little cottage after being awake for 20 hours, and we made it our home real quick. We loved this little cottage. Got some food. We would cook there. It was exactly what we needed. Pretty cool. And it was smack dab in the center of the island, so we could drive around and check stuff out, even though everything was a lot farther than we realized. So the first place we stopped off at was Thingvellir National Park, and it was the site of one of the original Icelandic settlements. This church was a couple hundred years old, and this was an old graveyard. The landscape in Iceland is just stunning. The sunsets and the sunrises. Sun was in the sky 22 hours a day. We had 2 hours of darkness while we were there. So I'd get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and go outside. Daylight.
Such a cool shot.
Thingvellir National Park was incredible. It reminded me of Lord of the Rings or something, like
so
Mordor.
pleasant.
There's just all these little marshes, you know? It's amazing. It's so cool.
Wonder if the little troll's gonna.
Iceland is also cool for all the wildlife. There's just so many animals that are vibrantly alive and doing their thing, because Iceland is only home to 300,000 people, which is about half the size of Portland, Oregon, on the whole island. And a third of those live in the capital, Reykjavik. So it's fairly abandoned and you can just run around, and I think animals feel more safe there. They just are doing their thing more casually. So our second day we went to Gleamore Waterfall and we hiked. It was a long hike to Gleamore and just volcanic land covered in green. And we ended up at all these lava tubes, you know, these caves that are old air pockets from lava tubes. Little Indiana Jones clip. After Thingvellir National Park, that night we went to Lagervatn Hot Springs. So we were staying just outside of Selfoss and near a town called Lagervatn. Lagervatn Hot Springs, and it is featured in the documentary Down to Earth with Zac Efron. And we actually got to meet the host that helps them bake bread in that series. In episode 1 of Down to Earth, they go to Iceland, and Icelandic guy named Siggy helps them bake bread in the boiling sands, and he was there running the place when we got there.
What's up?
You want me to tell the whole story?
Yeah.
We just talked to the most interesting kid at the hot springs last night, who was like on about dinosaurs and about animals worldwide. And he was like, and do you know what a megalodon is? I was like, well, yeah, I know what a megalodon is. And Danica was like, I don't know what a megalodon is. And he just like looked back and forth at both of us, like confused. And then he looked at me, he was like, wait, you haven't told her? You like you haven't told her what a megalodon is? This hasn't come up? Why haven't you like shared this information with her? He was just so confused, like that one of us could know about the largest shark to ever swim the oceans and the other one wouldn't know. It's just so funny. The next day we took off to just drive around Iceland more, and we saw all kinds of random stuff. A lot of buried boats, which was super random and super cool. And we were headed out to the northwest, and we ran into this waterfall. We saw it from the road, and we decided, okay, let's pull over, let's check that out. Babe, where are we?
I think we're in a tunnel underwater,
We're in a tunnel underwater in Iceland.
and it's really long.
It's really long.
Like, we've been going on it
I
for
thought-
at least 4 minutes, and it looks like it's way way longer.
We were looking at the map on our GPS, and it looked like we were gonna go over a bridge.
Yeah.
And then we went through a tunnel, and we were like, "Oh, this must be the tunnel before the bridge."
It just kept going.
And then it just stayed tunnel, and we're still underground, underwater. I'm pretty
I
sure.
think we're going up now. Here,
And
show
now it
you.
feels like we're going up.
Show the
So
tunnel.
we're gonna be coming out the other side probably.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we have been in this tunnel for a long time, longer than a bridge.
I've been in a train underground, but never
If you
in-
tried to hold your breath through this tunnel, you would pass out and die. So the next day we went to Reykjavik. We had just one day in Reykjavik, just for, I don't know, 6 hours maybe. And Reykjavik was very cool. It reminded me of other Northern European cities like Stockholm. Very cold. We went to a little Arctic creatures exhibit. They took ocean trash, of which there's a lot, and they turned it into a cool exhibit, which was rad. And had to stock up on food while we were there. Got some bread, got the bare essentials. Fish is super cheap, so I ate a lot of salmon while I was there. We passed out in the car in the parking lot of this place, and then Danica went in and talked to somebody, and then she woke me up because we were so tired. And we went in, and she didn't know how much she paid, but we got in to the Sky Lagoon in Reykjavik, which was the most luxurious experience I've probably ever had in my life. I felt like I was part of the 1%. Like, oh, okay, I got a spot in the bunker, I think. You know, I felt like I was in with the billionaires. This is where they come when they need to relax. You know, multi-billionaires come to Iceland to relax in the Sky Lagoon, I think. It was amazing.
I got a video like that.
Especially being right off the ocean. There's like a wall between the boiling water you're in and ocean water that'll freeze you.
Yes. And if you feel like taking a seat, just do it. Just a second. Not that much.
Fire and ice experts.
Just for us to remember.
Drove home from Reykjavik and just took a lot of cool footage. These horses were right by our cottage, so we drove past these horses every time we left home. We just saw the coolest stuff. We would run into this sign, "No Town," and it's a serious sign. It means there is literally nothing for 2 or 3 hours of driving. It's pretty crazy. Also, there was just sheep everywhere. Like on the side of the road, just sheep running around. Like, I don't know whose sheep these are, but you're not an attentive sheep farmer. Like, you need to keep better track of your sheep. There just was sheep everywhere. Like, doing whatever they wanted all over the place. It was kind of awesome. So that, the next night we went to the Secret Lagoon, which was just a little lagoon, and we saw little fairy houses, which Danica really liked. Iceland is just so powerfully peaceful. There's so much power under your feet, you can feel it, and there's so much power and energy in the land, but it's also so peaceful. The next day we were driving out to the glaciers, and we stopped at a couple waterfalls. We heard that the glaciers on the southeast coast were a must-see, so we drove like 6 hours out there.
Jesse,
I think it was about, it might have been 5 hours there and back. We stopped at this black sand beach that was really famous, and on the way there we just went through all of this land that looked like trolls or giants lived there. This land right here that's just so unique. I'd never seen anything like it. It felt like I was on Mars. So we're gonna go over those mountains, or around those mountains. More sheep, doing whatever they want. And we're gonna get to the glaciers. Yeah, the glaciers were cool. I really wanted to see some walruses or something. Had this little pet ice that I carried around till it melted through my fingers.
Yeah, get him. He might eat that duck. I hope he does. No, only for the drama. I don't actually want to eat the duck.
Drama.
Don't scare him away.
Huh?
Don't scare him away. Oh shit, he's coming this way. Go for the duck, buddy, not us. Wow, he missed his body.
All eyes are on this seal.
We got back home that day, just exhausted and spent. Woke up the next morning and I decided I was gonna go snorkeling in Iceland. We found the opportunity. We'd talked to some people around about it, and I decided I was gonna do it. So I went snorkeling in Iceland in a dry suit in water that's cold enough to kill you. But the only part that gets wet is your face and your hands.
All the gravel there.
It was cold. No, it was great. It was the only things that were cold were my hands and my lips. My lips were numb when I got out of the water. I was biting my lips and I couldn't even feel it. It was like I was at the dentist and they like Novocaine my lips just from the ice. And then my hands were so numb I couldn't grip anything with my 2 fingers. I couldn't button my pants. That's no exaggeration. Like I couldn't button my pants. So I was just like crab claws that just like couldn't pin shut. It was ridiculous.
And with that, I'm trying to heat on.
Thank you. No, but the whole rest of my body was dry. My entire body was dry. Like it, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It was weird. Like the main, I feel like the biggest aspect of the experience was the gear and the dry suit, almost more than the like snorkeling. I feel like, and the gear, when they were like putting it on, it just kept getting more and more uncomfortable. Like first it was like, all right, put this thing on. You're like, okay, I put the thing on. They're like, all right, now this thing. You're like, oh, that's heavy, that's uncomfortable. They're like, good. Now we're going to pull it down on your hands, and it's like completely cuts the circulation off to your hands. You're like, oh, well, that's fine. I guess I'll live with that. And then they like put it up on your neck, and you're like, oh, that's tight on my neck. And they're like, well, it's not tight enough. So we're gonna put a belt around it, tie that shut. And you're just like, and then your neck's just like, it's just like, well, this is really bad. And they're like, yeah, well, it's gonna get worse. Then they put the hood on, and you're like, and you can't hear anything. And so you're just like completely can't hear. And then they put the mask on you, and you can't breathe out your nose anymore. So you're just like, your neck is like cut off, circulation. So it just like progressively gets worse, and you like it continuously surprises you how much worse it's getting. And then you like finally get in the water, and you're like, oh man, is it worth it? Yeah, I think it's worth it. You just have to like fight claustrophobia the entire time you're getting dressed, and the whole time you're snorkeling, you're like Don't think about how uncomfortable you are. Don't think about how claustrophobic you are. Just enjoy what you're seeing. But yeah, it is cool. It's cool how deep and how old the Earth is. You definitely can see that. It's pretty wild. So yeah, overall, yeah, do it.